First time in 20 years all of the kids were going to be out of the house for any amount of time, and we had high hopes of getting out and hiking, maybe doing some traveling. We had plans to hike Mount Rainier the next day. I went to bed that night feeling a little bit off, had a little tiny rash on my leg. The next thing I knew, I woke up at 5 in the morning and my leg was inflamed, stiff, painful, and I knew something was dreadfully wrong.
When we were at the original local hospital and it became clear that they weren't unable to manage the problems that Joel was having, I asked them, so what can we do? And they said the only thing they could think of was to send him to Harborview, because Harborview, in their words, handles all the hardest cases.
I was airlifted to Harborview, and between coming out of the operating room and being put in the helicopter, I kind of bubbled to consciousness enough to say my goodbyes to Karen and tell her to pass them along to the kids, because I don't know how to describe it. I knew I was dying. It was that profound an experience.
As they decided they were ready to take him up to the 9th floor, which is the ICU, they told me that I couldn't ride with him in the elevator. And I asked if that would be possible in any way to do that. And one of the nurses intervened for me and said that would they please allow me to do that, because they weren't sure he would actually make it to floor 9.
The kids came on the picture a little bit later when I was already a little more functional, and it was like a light coming into the room seeing each of them.
We were very concerned about his condition, his blood pressure being so low. He, in the operating room, once we got him there, had significant problems with his lungs and his respiratory status. We had to put in some tubes in his chest to drain extra fluid from that area. So he was really in very severe shape when he first came in.
So I met Mr. Spiegel after he had his several initial operations to remove all the unhealthy tissue. We see folks from all over Washington State, Alaska, Idaho, Montana, who have similar complex wounds or burn injuries, which are also very complex wounds. And what we have here is not only expertise and skill, and that goes from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists to the entire staff here at Harborview, but along with that skill is an incredible dedication and an incredible amount of caring, because skill alone won't take care of all the needs of our patients. It's the combination of skill and compassion and caring that really are key to the success that we have in caring for people throughout the region.
It requires a lot of people to work together to get somebody through that type of an illness. And so by setting us up as a trauma center and having the trauma team available, it means I have the operating room available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It means I have fantastic ICU nurses available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have a whole team of surgery residents to support me and help me take care of patients. So to get in a patient with a severe necrotizing soft tissue infection, I have all the resources of the trauma system.
Finally, there's the role that Harborview plays as a teaching hospital as part of UW Medicine. So, as a trauma center with some incredible areas of specialization, including things like the burn unit, neurology, etc., as a county hospital that's an incredible medical safety net for many, many people in the area.
Harborview is widely known as the safety net, as the county hospital, as serving the mission population. But there are people with critical illnesses and injuries that come from all over the state that could potentially seek to get their health care elsewhere, but they come here because they know that we have the resources to take care of them, that we have the expertise, that we have the multidisciplinary team, that we have the outstanding ICU care and ICU nurses, and so we serve as a resource, I think, to the entire state in that regard.
I suspect a lot of people in the area are unaware of Harborview, other than they just know it's there. I don't think most people truly understand the things that Harborview does until they need it. And they don't realize what an amazing resource Harborview is to the community. I certainly didn't know until I needed it.
When Joel came into my care, it was a lot of intense wound care. He was afraid of the pain, and he was going through a lot of pain. So my job with him was to reassure him, help him with his breathing techniques, to let him know that everything would be okay. He was in a safe place, and we would take it one day at a time down this road that he had to travel down.
Phyllis was really somebody who I felt was a tremendous presence. She, I was generally looking up at her. She would help me stand. She would help me sit at the times where I was able to do that at all. When I couldn't, she was just very adept at managing me in general. And so my vision of Phyllis was of this large, strong person with tremendous presence. I guess because I was so weak and I was always looking up from where I was. And the first time I went back to visit after I had been discharged, I was shocked to find out that, relative to me, Phyllis is a very short, very tiny person. And it's strange to find humor in the experience, but for me it was a shock.
Joel mentioned a lot of they're laying on this table, so they're looking up at you all the time. So when he was able to get up and walk and stuff, and he really got to see the size, so he was just like, "Whoa, you're just a little short something." How can I'm like, but I carry a lot of strength, so yeah.
We still see Mr. Spiegel every few months in follow-up just to catch up on how things are doing. His visits are less and less frequent now as his needs from a medical standpoint here are less and less. But it's just always a treat to see him and how well he's doing, and he's been very grateful. He's expressed how grateful he is for the care we have here, and we always tell him we're just thrilled to see how well he's doing, and that's the big thank you that we want.
And getting home, walking up, I believe it was 11 stairs to get into the house was just, there just aren't words to describe what that felt like. Crying for joy at walking up 11 stairs into your own house. And they gave me my life back. In every sense of the word possible. It wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be able, if they didn't have the competence they have, the diligence and passion they've got, I wouldn't be alive. And if I were alive, I probably wouldn't have the degree of recovery that I've had. I feel a tremendous, profound gratitude to the people on the staff there. When I see those guys, if I'm in for a clinic visit or whatever, there's this irrepressible urge to hug people. There's a big guys, little tiny women, everyone they get a hug, and it's a gratitude that goes to the bottom of your soul and your heart, and it's just
they're just an amazing staff.
Here we are.